Let's bring in Iowa Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. She is a Republican on that House Select Committee on China, holding that big hearing tonight, as Jackie just pointed out. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us. We expect that the origins of COVID will likely figure prominently in tonight's hearing. What do you want to know from this inaugural hearing?
Well, thank you for having me on, John. You know, we have some very serious questions about how we are able to compete with China going forward. We have spent decades truly appeasing the Chinese Communist Party, and it's high time that we start competing with them. So that's the goal and mission of our committee, is to really get out and tell that story. I mean, we have heard President Xi's rhetoric that the Chinese dream is to be the military and economic superpower by the year 2049. That sounds a lot to me like an American nightmare. So our committee's job will be to be in storytelling, fact-finding mode, showcasing some of these areas where China has been overly aggressive and has frankly been a bad actor for decades. So that's what we'll start to lay the groundwork for tonight. When it comes to COVID-19 specifically, we need to get to the bottom of that, and I think this administration should spend less time spinning it and more time actually focusing on the truth. Let's find out what intelligence we have. Let's declassify that. Let's make sure no money's going to the CCP so that they aren't able to do this again.
Yeah, well, in terms of money going to the CCP, I mean, it's coming from American consumers because all our stuff's made over there. But what do you make of this Energy Department assessment that we are now learning came from the vaunted Z division, that the greatest likelihood is that this virus did emanate from that Wuhan Institute of Virology? Do you believe what they're saying?
Well, I think it's certainly funny, and I would echo Chairman Gallagher's comments of remember when people were being called conspiracy theorists if they even floated this as a possibility. This is more, again, it adds credence to the work that our committees are going to do, both the Select Committee on China and competitiveness there, but also the Select Committee on the origins of COVID-19. I can't wait to hear Dr. Fauci come before that committee and answer their questions as well, but we have some very serious questions about the origin. Again, the Wuhan lab, we need to make sure that the CCP is not able to do this again. We need to make sure slush funds are not available to send those resources to them. The conversation around American consumers and decoupling where we can is a separate conversation, I think, but a very important one as well. So again, this is about empowering American workers, empowering our workforce, empowering our people, and competing with China. And that is exactly what you'll see our committee do.
You mentioned people, Congresswoman, being dismissed as conspiracy theorists if they embrace this lab leak idea. Let's rewind the clock to some of the media play on those theories. Listen here.
A conspiracy theory going around that the coronavirus originated and was perhaps man-made inside a lab in China.
And then there's this theory, widely debunked. This paper from 2 Chinese researchers that says it is plausible that the virus leaked accidentally from one of 2 labs near the Wuhan seafood market.
Just weeks ago, Dr. Anthony Fauci rejected the conspiracy that coronavirus was man-made in a lab in Wuhan, China. And yet this week, Donald Trump is still pushing the debunked bunkum.
A lot of people on the right love that phrase, escape from the lab, because it sounds like something from a Marvel movie or a comic book.
You know, it still hasn't been proven 100%, but the lab leak theory is certainly become plausible, even though, as John Kirby said in the White House briefing yesterday, there's no consensus from all of the intelligence agencies that it came from there, but there's rarely consensus from all of the intelligence agencies.
Right. Well, I think this comes down to what is China's intent here. And I know that I'm a skeptic. I think it's built in here, but I don't trust China. I think they do everything intentionally. And so we need to get those answers and get to the bottom of it. So, again, the first step is let's take a look at that intelligence. The White House needs to declassify what we have to members of Congress so we can do our jobs, because realistically, again, we're never going to get full transparency from the Chinese. But this is about accountability so that they aren't able to do this again, because what happens the next time they unleash another global pandemic. So that is my true concern, is we got to get to the bottom of that. We need to make sure no taxpayer money, not a dime, is being funneled to institutes that could potentially do this. And again, I'd echo what was said earlier about some of the scientists who are paid by the Chinese to be on that report, right? I think we all need to be natural skeptics about what the Chinese are saying here.
All right, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson from Iowa. We look forward to the inaugural hearing tonight. Thank you for joining us with the preview this afternoon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
You know, that is